Hi, welcome to Jeremy's Tech Channel, and today we are going to preview Linux Lite 6.0. Alright guys, it's time to take a look at a release candidate for Linux Lite. Saw this release announcement for Linux Lite 6.0. You can see RC1, release candidate 1 is here. So we're going to take a look. A preview is very similar to a walkthrough that I do, but what you should be aware of is some of these things may not make the final cut. Okay, they may need to make an adjustment to a theme, they may need to make an adjustment of a default program, or some other code that we can't see up front. So just be aware of that, but it is a lot of fun to check out a preview and to get excited about what's coming up. We are going to take a look at the highlights of this release announcement, then go right into the live environment, take a look, go through the install process, take a look at the installed piece and what they show us that are changes or updates. See if this is something we should be ready for and is right for us, okay? So it says here that Linux Lite 6.0 final codename Fluorite will be released the 1st of June 2022. So it's a little over a month away. If this is something that you're looking forward to, this is going to be a fun preview for you. So one of the first things they say in the changes group of this release announcement, they have a new window theme called Materia. Here's some quick looks of those in a light and dark theme. They have some assistive technologies, onboard keyboard plus screen reader plus screen magnifier, which is great. There's an onboard keyboard, which by the way looks super cool and super retro awesome. I really think that looks awesome. Screen reader is Orca now. They have a screen magnifier, left Alt plus mouse scroll wheel. Let's try to remember to take a look at that when we are previewing this in the live environment. And it shows here the new default web browser is Google Chrome. Now that Firefox comes as a snap package from Ubuntu, Windows users need to be able to deal with as few package managers as possible, so they decided to go with Chrome. Just so you know, a lot of Ubuntu-based distributions try to steer themselves away from Snap. This is the way they've decided to be able to support many of their users in the user set that they have for Linux Lite. They have a new grub menu. They ensure that they keep the most stable release of LibreOffice. There is a system monitor that we will check out, which looks great. A lot of screenshots there. Some basic details of which Chrome version. The kernel will be 5.15. They do communicate some known issues. This is a very normal communication piece for release announcements. And then where to download the ISO. Then they give minimum specs and preferred specs. They have a 1.5 gigahertz processor, at least a gig of RAM plus is what it says. 20 gigabytes of hard drive space. Let's go ahead and move over to the live environment. I've already booted it up here, and we are greeted with my favorite thing, a welcome screen. And they have a start here piece that is highlighted in a different color. Install updates, install drivers, set a restore point, install language support, select light and dark theme. Love it. So here we go, let's install. And this is being built off of Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, which you've seen a bunch of. Once again, it is Ubuntu season. Erase disk and install Linux. Same options that we had for 22.04 LTS. Continue. And now we're going to go ahead and run this install. We did run the 22.04 install process. So if you're interested in seeing what that install looks like, you can see it there. I will go ahead and if there is a change, I'll let you know. But it looks like the exact same install process. Okay, we just finished the install process and restarted. There was nothing different as far as what you see and experience with the Ubuntu 22.04 LTS install process. They had some of their own graphics during that install process, but nothing was different from that. So if you're interested in seeing that, just go to my Ubuntu 22.04 LTS walkthrough and you'll be able to see that. Linux Lite is designed to be for computers that have less resources, maybe a little older. So I set up this virtual machine. I'm using VirtManager, set up a virtual machine and set it up with 2 gigs of RAM and only 2 cores. So I figured that would be closer to what most people who'd be interested in using this would experience. So it might be a truer experience of someone looking at something like this. But here we are with the great and mighty welcome screen. I love this highlighted situation here on the left telling you exactly where to start. So we're going to start by installing updates. Okay, step 1, install updates. It asks for your password. It checks. Here are the available updates. We will update now. So I finished the update and it asks if you want to see what the update log looks like. Well, yeah, I want to see what it did. All right, it just lets you know where it got the package. Essentially, you're getting a printout of the terminal response and messages that you get. Awesome. So it's asking us to reboot. For these updates to take effect, we will go ahead and reboot. Okay, we've rebooted. Now we will install drivers. I don't know with my virtual machine if they're going to see anything that needs to happen for install drivers. We've already done step 1, and it took us directly to step 2, searching for additional drivers. Didn't see any. Okay, step 3, setting a restore point. And it's setting up a snapshot through TimeShift. TimeShift is awesome, a wonderful backup tool. You can schedule out when those snapshots are created. Then click on the button below to install language support for Linux Lite. So you can set that up. One of the things they did is they immediately opened up a browser with the help manual to show where and why you would use the extra language support pieces here and how to access them, which is a nice touch. I like that a lot. Then they walk through UEFI and secure boot. Now we can select light and dark themes. I'm going to select the dark theme. And then they walk through some shortcuts right here. Great, thank you very much. I'm assuming this button here would say upgrade available if there was an upgrade. And then they talk specifically about software. So we'll click on that software piece here. So now it's asking to update the sources for the software. That is fine. Please select a task below, install or remove software. Well, I want to see what it's like to install software. Now it's populating the software that they have specifically from Linux Lite. You have Steam, Teams, TeamViewer, Telegram, the Tor web browser, Wine, Zoom. You get the deal. This is a nice little piece here. So I tell you what, let's go ahead and install Audacity. That's a nice collection of software available for you to see and use. Nice little touch. Installation was successfully completed. Install and remove. Let's just see what happens when I click this. I'm not going to remove the software, but it just shows the software that it installed, not a full populated list of installed software. It gives you your hardware recommendations, which we had already seen on the release announcement. This is great. Now you have your support, a help manual, forums, hardware database, UEFI and secure boot. Then you can contribute code or donate or shop their social media. Really love this. Maybe they could work on getting this removed after it's installed, but they may have a reason for that. If you know why, let me know. Maybe it's just because it's a release candidate as well. So now I'm going to close out of this. This is XFCE. I know me and love me some XFCE. There's a couple of things that I really do appreciate with this setup. On my right click, I can access a lot of things just from a right click. I don't necessarily have to go all the way down to this menu. I can right click, create a launcher, create a URL link, folder, document, which are normal with an XFCE install. And you can see you have on your desktop these pieces, and you could create a launcher for an application like Audacity there if we wanted to. And you would just need to know the command and then it would work. So let's see here. Create launcher Audacity. Cool. That was easy. I'm going to create a launcher for Audacity. And now it's down here, ready to go. And there's Audacity. That's how you can create a launcher on the desktop. If you like your desktop to have some of those shortcuts, that's fine. You also have this menu down here that you can set up with quick launchers as well on your bar down at the bottom. So just be aware, you may not need to do this, but it's just a workflow choice. And then you can directly open a terminal here, a task manager, grab a screenshot, open as administrator. Ooh! You can search where you have right clicked. So let's say you're in your Thunar file manager and you want to search within that file manager. Open in new window. You can arrange the desktop icons, desktop settings, and here's a full list of your applications, guys. They have a My Computer menu item created, and I kind of like that if you're coming from a Windows environment. This is a very normal thing for them to see, having your settings. That's a lot of settings. It lets you see here. So I can open up Terminal here. They added a little transparency to this. They have NeoFetch installed. You can see what's here. The 5.15.0-27 generic kernel. You can see that it's XFCE, the window manager theme. All of those pieces are here. Let's take out this. This is HTOP. This is a great program to be able to see what is running and what resources are available for us. So this shows that the memory that is being used is 526 megabytes. There is a swap partition set up with Linux Lite, so you can see that. And you can see not much is happening in the processor. That's just, people running Linux Lite definitely want to know what resources are sitting at idle, okay? So now you know. I did want to check out their new system monitor. What I like about this menu is it is nice and clean, and there's a search function here. I'm going to type in system monitor. There it is. There is their new system monitor, and we can take a look at it and get a sense of it here. All right, there's the CPU. Here is the RAM, and it has swap sitting here as well. Hard disk, your network traffic. Oh, sweet, I got 100 FPS just now. And then if you have actual bare metal connected to your operating system, you probably will be able to get a sense, CPU and other devices, and check their temperature. Make sure they're doing okay. You've got the processes being run here, what users are accessing the system, your startup pieces, what services are running, and the system itself. I love this little up in the left-hand side, just kind of get a sense of what's going on. This is really great. This is a cool system monitoring center. They did a great job with that. So one of the things that they said that they did with some accessibility options was a zoom feature. You hold the Alt button and you use your mouse scroll, and you can scroll in and zoom in and out, and it is seamless and works well. I like that functionality. Thanks, guys. This is the settings menu that they have set up and how it's organized. Some very traditional pieces here that you are used to. They do a good job of keeping this organized. It's quite nice. Setting up your notifications, your workspaces. You have access to workspaces here on the bottom right-hand side of your bar. Light widget. What is this? Enable light widget. Looks kind of like Conky. There you go. It says, you know, it looks like a Conky monitor piece. I like it. I'm going to leave it running. And they have a user manager piece here. If you need to add someone or remove another user, like a new user or a child from sudo, you can do that here. Remember, we are previewing this release candidate here. And it also, you know, I always notice that when you're walking through something, you can get a sense of what the developer is thinking. And this just seems to be someone who wants their older or less resourced hardware to be able to have all the tools that someone who has a newer piece of hardware has. And it's feeling pretty good, guys. Over here on the left-hand side, all your applications. I would say this is set up with more applications than some other installs. No problem there. You can set up and make a bootable USB stick right there. You have your calculator. All is okay. They go ahead and have GIMP installed and Paint, Chrome as your web browser, Thunderbird as your mail client, VLC, and we just installed Audacity sitting in the multimedia piece. LibreOffice, as you saw, ready to go. Thank you. And this system piece right here. We've seen a time shift already. We've seen the terminal. We've seen the system monitor. We've seen the system log when we went through and did an install process, a system information, printers, partitioning, and package manager. Okay, this is Synaptic Package Manager. This is different than the piece we were just looking at. Their consolidated and procured group of software that they think an everyday user would want to install. Here you have your installed applications and not installed, so you can easily search this. We can go ahead and search QTerminal. I've started liking QTerminal, so if I wanted to mark for installation, it tells you your dependencies. You apply. I am now installing QTerminal, and now it's installed. So they have the drop-down terminal there, and with F12, it comes in and out, by the way, and it's tabbed. This is QTerminal, like I said. But here you go. Now you can see how to install a package. You know, the layout is very familiar. This is not a new layout. You have your system tray out on the bottom right. You have your menu on your bottom left, laid out quite well. Then some shortcuts here. This is the Thunar File Manager. It is wonderful and glorious, and all shall bow down to the Thunar File Manager. I'm just being goofy, but it's a nice file manager. I do like it. Let's just do one other piece. I'm going to go to desktop settings. Hey, look, some other wallpapers. What is up with this? You can easily change your wallpaper. This virtual machine is set up with only 2 gigs of RAM and only 2 cores, and we've been able to get around and work just fine. I will say Chrome, every tab, you're going to be using some resources here of your RAM. Go to Jeremy's Tech channel. So I've got 3 tabs open. Let's go back to their cool system monitor. 3 tabs open, and it's still saying we have available 635 megabytes. We're using 1.3 gigabytes. You know, you should be able to work fine on this. I mean, unless you're like my wife who has 16 Chrome tabs open, you should be able to be just fine. You know, I like this. I really do like this. And if you're a person who needs something lighter, but still feels full feature, first off, you can never go wrong with XFCE. You know, I know it's not super light like a Fluxbox or a, you know, another window manager. I understand that, but for a full feature desktop environment, it does a really great job. And on top of that, Linux Lite has designed itself to be for you. So what did we learn doing this preview of Linux Lite 6.0? They have done some things that really are about making the user's life easier. Things like some accessibility features like the zoom option, which is, you know, not necessarily new, but it was seamless. It worked perfectly. The grouping of the procured applications that they have on their install piece is great and nice to see. The layout of their XFCE desktop is done well. I love their little system monitor piece that they had there. The theme looked great. They probably could release this as is, and most people would be happy with it. They said some things like they only have 90% of the help manual done, a couple other bugs that they're working through and trying to iron out before they release this. But other than that, I mean, this is going to be a great system for you to use. If you want to use Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, but your system's unable to run some of those larger pieces, you know, you're like, well, why would I choose Linux Lite over Ubuntu? You know, the XFCE version of Ubuntu. This is designed specifically for lighter hardware. You know, there's some pieces, I don't know if you saw that, I think there's some customized kernel pieces and driver pieces that they have. And honestly, just the layout just seems to be more designed for the everyday user. And I think that's a good thing. Someone has an older laptop and someone says, you know, I'm going to throw away this laptop. And you're like, no. Let's put Linux Lite on it. That's pretty cool. We can do that. And you'd be able to run and breathe life into an older piece of hardware. And I kind of see that as what a lot of people who would like to use Linux Lite have. The other group of people are, you know, they've held on to this piece of hardware for a long time and they still want to hold on to it. Now, is this for super light situations? No. If you have less than, it says the minimum requirements is having 750 megabytes of RAM. Ooh, I don't know if I would do that. Maybe you can, get it to work the way you want it to. Maybe you're not a multitasker. Maybe you just do one application at a time. So maybe you'd be able to work that. But it did say recommended was 1.5 plus for your RAM and a 1.5 gigahertz processor as well. Linux Lite is going to work for a lot of people. And if you are one of those people, just comment below and let us know what you love about Linux Lite. And I'm looking forward to seeing this when it comes out in June. It's Ubuntu season, folks. See you next time.